Hi, I'm Sarah from The Upcoming. A real pleasure to have you here with us at London Film Festival. Maybe we could begin with a brief introduction to Blink. What can people expect going into your film?
Thank you, lovely to be here. Blink tells the story of a Canadian family. 3 of their 4 children are losing their vision because they have a rare eye condition. And so their parents decide to take them on a tour of the world. And essentially our film is this emotional journey as we follow this family on their incredible journey and see them come home and readjust to everyday life. What our audience can expect is not just a story about how a family deals with a complex medical diagnosis, but something more universal than that, which is how do you deal with a future that is taken away from you? And when you look at it, we all think the world's going to be a certain way and it never really works out. And I think there's a real human truth here about what kind of person are you is often defined by the way in which you deal with difficult news and that onrushing future.
What sparked the project? How did the idea come to you? And why did you think it was a wonderful film to make?
So the project was actually brought to me and my co-director Daniel Raw by Amit Day at MRC. He'd optioned this, their company had optioned the story, and we knew about the family. We're Canadians, and well, I'm English and Canadian, but we knew about the story. We'd read about it in CNN and The Guardian, and so when we were asked, do you want to travel the world with this incredibly inspiring family and tell this story, it wasn't a hard decision to make. But I'd say ultimately the challenge with a film like this is you don't want to just tell a travelogue. It's very easy with a professional crew to paint a beautiful picture of our natural world. What inspired us to tell it, as I said, was that there was a deeper emotional truth here about a grieving process that was going on. This family are very early in their journey of dealing with this diagnosis. That's what's so beautiful about it. We're following them on an emotionally authentic story as they grapple in the first stages with a condition that's going to reshape their whole lives.
And tell us a bit about the logistics of making it, having to be along with this family, maybe any of the hurdles that you encountered. Also, asking a family, I guess, to open up their lives, in front of a camera.
Logistically speaking, what was the challenges we were facing? We were coming onto the project at the last minute. This was a family who weren't traveling big. They weren't going to big hotels. They weren't staying fancy places. They were really much off the cuff traveling, and they only knew what they were going to do maybe a month in advance. So can you imagine trying to marshal a film crew together to climb a mountain in the Himalayan mountain range in 36 hours notice? That's the kind of logistical production challenges that we faced. We're carrying equipment up a mountain. It's a whole thing. In terms of the difficulties in making the story more broadly, we're talking about working with children. We're talking about a film that's about a difficult medical diagnosis. And so there's an ethical component here, which is not only when you're making a film about adults, it's difficult enough, but with children, we're not trained therapists. We're not people who should be pushing our subjects into difficult emotional territory before they're ready. So it was very much a collaboration with our parents to ensure that the kids were comfortable and that we could tell their story in an authentic way, but respectfully. And I think that's one of the challenges, but the also challenge is kids don't follow the narrative logic of everyday life in the same way they don't follow it in films. And so working with the everyday chaos of a child, they just want to jump and climb all over you. They want to go play. The wonderful DP, Jean-Sébastien Francard, he was Uncle JS, and they just wanted to play with Uncle JS. They didn't always want to be making a movie. So finding that balance was always a good challenge.
When you watch the film back now, is there a moment that, is your favorite, or you just feel so most excited for audiences to see?
There's 2 things. I think I'd say the most emotional moment for me is very early on in the film. We have an interview with one of our children. He's sitting under a grotto in the stairs, and our mother, who was conducting the interview with me, asks him, "Are you scared of the future?" And he says, "No, I'm not scared of the condition." And she says, "Why not?" And he said, "Well, I'm going to have a guide cat. I'm not going to have a guide dog. I'm going to have a guide cat. So everything's going to be fine." And I remember sitting there under that stairs sweating because we were in this tiny little kid space, and everyone in the crew essentially started to sniffle and cry because it's such a disarmingly beautiful thing for a child to say. And one of the most magical moments for me in making the film is hearing these little insights and ways in which kids think about time in the future. It was incredibly beautiful. So that was the one that sticks with me. And our film is filled with those moments. This is an emotionally authentic story in which you get to feel part of the family's life and experiences. And you don't often get to see kids in this way. It's very naturalistic, and there's a real sense in which you're part of their life. And I think that's something that any audience, we all have families, we all have parents, a lot of us have kids, we can all connect to this.
Ultimately, what do you hope people take away from watching the film? Because I guess, it is shining a light on this specific family's difficulties and the challenges they're facing and their journey, but like you say, there is something universal there, probably something that could seem like a negative thing. How can it suddenly become a positive thing? Like, let's use this opportunity to travel the world, let's use this opportunity to, sort of seize the moment, which I think probably everyone can take on board.
Yeah, I think you're right. There's definitely a deeper truth there about how you treat the future and what kind of life. As a parent, you're the one that sets the terms and boundaries for what your children think is possible in the world. I think what I found so inspiring about the story is how the boundaries for these kids seem almost non-existent. And there's a real confidence, palpable confidence and self-belief in them that I think is transmitted directly from the way their parents have gone about this trip in their lives. That's what inspired me personally. But I think a deeper truth, even more than that, is that this is a film about letting go. It's a film about parenthood and childhood. We're alone in the world in some ways. Our families are always with us, and our parents, in the best case scenario, love us and take care of us. But we also have to be our own people in the world. And this is a family that says these children are going to be their own people. They're going to have to let go to their childhood, but they're also going to do so with the confidence that they can live a beautiful life. And I think that's the deeper truth for this film.
Amazing. And finally, what does it mean to you to have the film here at London Film Festival?
It means a whole lot. I came to this film festival as a child when I was 16 years old. I came here with my dad on a day trip from Leicester. We went to see a very experimental Japanese film, which I adored, and then we went to Pizza Hut and I ate a lot of ice cream. So this film festival is a core part of my falling in love with cinema, and I dreamt as a child of playing a film here in front of my parents, and I can't think of a better film to do that with than a film about family love. So I'm so happy to be here.
Oh, wonderfully put. Well, thank you so much for sharing all that with me. Congratulations on the film, and really enjoyed presenting it here. Thanks a lot.